Hey, what is going on, everybody? And today I hit day 1380 of Marvel Strike Force. And the game told me that this was a milestone because they rewarded me with 3 whole red star orbs to commemorate this. Now, that crappy achievement aside, I want to go over my roster and share with you the progress that I have made lately on my main account here, what I'm working on currently, and how I'm doing in regards to Teal Gear progress, and where I'm at with Dark Dimension 5, and what I hope to do coming soon if things pan out. So, without further ado, let's get this show started. Alright, so we're going to start things off here in the roster window of my game here. And I'm not actually working on a whole lot for when it comes to brand new characters or teams that I'm working on. So I'm actually using the second half of this patch 5.10 to kind of start hoarding gold and resources again, you know, for orange gear and all that stuff, because I don't think that I'm actually going to be going in on the Dark Hunters. It's personally not a team that I feel great about, mostly because I think that Morbius, who is going to be the more important member, I am afraid that he is going to be a Blitz, and I'm really tired of Blitz release characters. That being said, you know, ongoing is, you know, Kate Bishop's Blitz. However, you know, I decided to go in on that like a little bit of an idiot, because she's still currently bugged, and as of recording this, it hasn't been fixed, but I hope that maybe it might. I am trying to maybe slowly work my way up for SpiderPunk. As some of you may or may not know, depending on what you've watched in my videos, I don't actually run him, well, clearly because he's a bit low, on my Web Warriors team, because I run Squirrel Girl instead, who I've basically maxed out at 202k. She is like the shining light of my roster, and believe it or not, I get a lot of use out of this, both in Doom Raid and in War, and you know, just actually almost every day I use her. So I actually really love Squirrel Girl, and I know it's not going to be for everyone, and it's specific to me because I have 7 yellow, 7 red. I kind of talk about this quite frequently, but I am, you know, putting in, like, right now, 1,000,000 gold per day on SpiderPunk for the moment. Otherwise, after this, I think that I'll be holding. I don't think Star-Lord T'Challa is someone that I'll be going hard in on. The reason why he is the hard is just because I took him up to level 65 to get him kind of blitz ready, so I could just squeeze him into the Ravagers team and then maybe get an extra win out of that. Because 65 is a good spot for Gear Tier 12, and then 6664. So that's what I did there. Yeah, I just don't think that Dark Hunters is for me. And so I'm starting to save up my resources for next patch, which I would assume is going to be patch 6.0, and a brand new team rumored to be, you know, possibly a mutant heavy team coming our way. And that's at least what I think. And so for that reason, I've just been wanting to hold as much gear and gold as I possibly can in anticipation of that. Now, what else have I been doing? Well, you know, a lot of my characters, especially the ones that I do use daily, are already at level 85. So I'm kind of in a good position for my roster for, you know, being able to save, because I don't need to. The only Gears Tier 16 character that I have at this time is Icarus. There are other characters that I'm working on currently. Actually, I take that back. Silver Surfer's not 85, but I don't use them daily. But I have been working on some other characters on the side. I finally got a 6 red Shang-Chi, and oh my lord, does he hit really hard. He is, like, crazy. Like, he scales so well at higher stars, especially once you get those red stars in him. Holy crap, man. Like, his ultimate hits so effing hard. I just really have to talk about this really quick. You know, his T4s give 125% damage. It's just crazy. You know, if you haven't really built into Shang-Chi, I definitely recommend doing so because he's super powerful. I think he might not be my first choice for Dark Dimension 5. Like, he is going to be there, but he's not going to be part of my first 5. I don't think that's going to be the case because I'm really far behind on his unique anyways. I need about another 11 of those, so that's not something that I'm going to be doing. Now, what I am kind of waiting for is Cersei. I need augmented Uru for Cersei, so I want to talk about her very briefly because I do have Icarus at Gear Tier 16, as you can see, but really there is no Eternals without both of them. And this is kind of the problem. So I do need about 7 more Uru. I'm close. I'm over halfway. But I don't want to take an Icarus without taking a Cersei. So instead of taking a character like Doctor Doom in my first 5, well, I'm holding on to that Mystic Gear in the hopes that hopefully I'll be able to put her up to Gear Tier 16 and she'll be part of my first 5. Now, I know that Cosmic is, you know, not in that first sort of set of characters. It's the third, actually. In fact, I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait, second? It goes first 5, and then City, and then Cosmic, Global, Legendary, I think. Pretty sure. So I will get use of them later on, but not immediately, because obviously City comes first. And I We'll be talking about sort of what my plans are for my characters. I have made a little Dark Dimension 5 planner, which works for me. These are the characters, the top characters that I've been thinking about. Other things that I'm doing in my roster is trying to get Cloak's shards up to 6-star. I wouldn't mind giving him a 6 red. I think I might have some extra gold promos to do that. Whether or not it will actually make a huge difference, I'm not sure. I really need to get the shards on Cersei. I'm 52 shards away, and that'll give me the 5 red. I pulled a 6 red when she first came out, so for me, this is partially frustrating. Scarlet Spider, also you can see here on my roster that I do have a 5 red for him, but I never activated that. So another, what is that, 49 shards, that would help there too. Lady Deathstrike, this is a little bit unfortunate because I am actually starting to use her daily now. I bought that Venom costume. I don't know how many of you guys did that, but yeah, instead of buying her more shards for her, which would have possibly taken me to 5-star Lady Deathstrike, I stupidly, you know, spent whatever currency was required to get the bits that I needed for the Venom costume. So I think it was almost 100 shards worth of Lady Deathstrike shards from the currency that had to go towards the Venom bits. So that happened. I'm a little bit... yeah, I made the wrong decision there, but it is what it is. I guess I just really like that costume. Must have been the case. I'm also 7 shards away from Dagger, another character that I really want to get that extra rank for. I feel like I'm so close on so many characters for rank ups to activate these red stars that I'm just like, it's not happening. Now, as of recording this, we don't have the shards yet from the Tadanomac rewards that's supposed to be coming our way, so hopefully, with any luck, I could put all of that towards Dagger, and then I'll actually get that. But, you know, as of this, there is nothing there that's happening. So, the rest of the roster down here, though, most of this is pretty unimportant, I would say, to my daily gameplay. It's not anything I'm hardcore working on at this rate. The only real standout here is obviously Kate Bishop. I need to get more shards via the blitzing, and hopefully that will help me get some star ranks up. I only have 4 red, but even 4 yellow, 4 red for what I'm using her for should help me there, I think, as well. So, yeah, I have, my Young Avengers are all maxed out at level 85, so that's what I mean, that I'm kind of putting a lot of my resources kind of into reserve right now because I'm not actively spending anything right now, and I just want to make sure that I'm in a good position going forward into patch 6.0, and I recommend a lot of people to do the same. If you're not actively working on something, if you don't have to do something, I would maybe just hold off a little bit. If you're doing well in what you're already doing, then I don't think there's necessarily a reason to have to do any of this. You know, I don't even want to waste the 500k gold to upgrade Call Obsidian because I barely use the Black Order. It's only in War, right? And so there's not a really lot of places. Other than that, Omega Red obviously comes back around for his Legendary Pass, so I'll be getting the 6 red for that. I forgot to point that out. And he is someone that I am considering taking to my first 5. The problem is, and the reason why I'm not in Dark Dimension 5 yet, is actually because I'm waiting to hear of the next patch confirmation of the characters for patch 6.0. I think there's going to be a lot of mutant characters, and so I'm just not sure if I'm ready to just click that equip all button yet for this character. Omega Red is very good. Obviously, you're not going to really make use of him, though, until the Legendary Lane. And so that's part of it, because I'm wondering if we're going to get some other origin characters, other locational characters coming our way next patch that I might want to devote this mutant gear towards. I'm not sure, and that's why I'm kind of holding out. I'll tell you the characters that I can gear right now. Kestrel, she's one. We already saw Omega Red, and there's a few others, I believe. I can upgrade. Ghost Spider is someone that I want to upgrade, but I'm lacking the augmented alien spores. But as soon as I get that, I can click the button on her, and I'm wanting to do Maria Hill. I think Maria Hill might actually be one of my first 5. She's actually on the cheaper end of the scale to gear for Dark Dimension 5, and we'll take a look at that when we take a look at my spreadsheet here very quickly. So Maria Hill, Kestrel, Ghost Spider, and Cersei is one of the ones that I want to add on. I could put in Omega Red, like I said, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that at this stage. Squirrel Girl is also someone that I'm toying with, believe it or not. So we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But Icarus currently is my only gear tier 16. And so as far as progress on Dark Dimension 5, I am lagging behind because I'm a little bit unwilling to click the button on a few of them because I'm waiting to see what happens next, which I think is, you know, entirely reasonable, I would say, just to make sure I'm not wasting my gear. And that's why I want to pivot right now to my Dark Dimension 5 planner. You may or may not have seen this before. You might have if you've seen me on live stream. I have worked on this in the past. This isn't like, a lot of this is for me. So the way that I've worked this out is I've actually worked it out by origin. So not by location, but by origin. I've separated all of the origins out and all of the best characters, in my opinion, for those origins. Now, I've listed all of the gear requirements in terms of the teal pieces. I also have a little bit of an inventory thing here. This hasn't been updated, so pay no attention to this row here. This is kind of, I just manually typed in like what I had, but I haven't updated this yet. And all of this tells you each of the characters and what you need. So you can see here for Ghost Spider that you need basically 2 sets of minis, all of this for the origin gear, and then how many ABCs or teal ABCs plus the catalyst on top. So starting off from the top, I do think that Ghost Spider is one of the best one of the best bio characters. In this case, a lot of the bio characters are city characters as well. I just don't think that at this stage there is a lot of great bio choices. As you can see, I'm kind of like scraping the bottom of the barrel here at like number 5 with Invisible Woman, but I just wanted to point this out anyway. So the reason why characters are highlighted in yellow are either because they're expensive to gear, or they're kind of questionable, or it might be very niche for you. And so the reason why I have Symbiote Spider-Man here at number 2 is because I think he is a very good character. However, I think that he's kind of like the Ghost now of Dark Dimension. So are you using him daily? If you have Web Warriors, you're probably not. However, Symbiote Spider-Man is very good in what he does in Dark Dimension, and his kit is super powerful because he's able to extend negative status effects on his special, and that's really crippling in combination with Ghost Spider, with Cloak, any of these characters that have negative status effects that Symbiote Spider-Man can extend. Now, Symbiote Spider-Man is like the only character who can extend everything now, because Scarlet Spider, when he extends, he misses out on some of the debuffs, and that's pretty important that Symbiote Spider-Man can do this. That being said, he is 4 sets, so that's why I want to kind of point that out here too. Squirrel Girl. So this is something that I mentioned. This is something that very likely I might do. Because I have her at basically maxed, but also I have the 7 red, but also because she is a very good support character. And in lieu of someone like Dagger, which we'll talk about when we get to the Mystic section, I think that Squirrel Girl is actually a very valid support character. I think that she helps out quite a bit. She can cleanse all negative status effects, and her ult, which is on a low cooldown, has offense down as well on the team. So good debuffs, also offense down on her basic as well. Really good kit, and she's had that base stat rework lately. Now, Scarlet Spider, on the other hand, I'm not super impressed with him outside of raids. I must be perfectly honest here that I feel that his damage is a little bit lackluster overall compared to Ghost Spider, because Ghost Spider is the one that has the passive, that has the plus damage. The plus damage only extends to the Web Warriors inside of raids, and, you know, when I was playing Scarlet Spider in Pocket Dimensions, I just wasn't super thrilled with this personally. So I have to mention that there. Visible Woman, because of the stars, weird nod if you absolutely have to, but I personally wouldn't recommend it. Though nowadays, you know, with Nowhere Heist, you might have her at least a gear tier 15 if you're wanting to go all the way for that flash event. So I just wanted to point that out there. But yeah, not something I would personally recommend. It's not a top choice for me. Now, Mutant's a bit of a weird one because we have Omega Red here personally, and he's probably at this point one of the best choices for your mutant gear. But like I said, with patch 6.0 around the corner, possibly new mutant characters, I kind of want to see who's coming next. Now, other characters that you could be adding in here is Jubilee. I think the Astonishing X-Men's days may be numbered within the next 6 months, maybe less, and for that reason, like, I don't know if she's someone that I want to take to gear tier 16. Also, she requires 4 sets of minis, so it is even more than Omega Red, so I do want to take that into consideration. That being said, she is a legendary character, and you're not really going to make use of her until the very end, so I don't think this is something that you have to do now. I would actually rather do Omega Red over Jubilee, of course, because you're going to make more use of Omega Red broadly in the game, and of course in Dark Dimension 5 if you decide to do that. Phoenix here kind of gets the same star nod that Invisible Woman does. She's not the best choice, possibly better choice than Invisible Woman, but you can see how Mutant just doesn't have a lot of good standalone choices for other lanes other than the Legendary lane. Almost all of them are Legendary lanes. Emma Frost is probably the only one here. Clearly, I forgot to add how much mini sets she requires. I think it's 3 or 4. I forgot to input this data. My apologies here. Emma Frost, just while we're using her right now in the arena meta, I feel that she's not really the best character long-term because of her base stats. She's very kit-based, but like I don't know if she's going to survive necessarily in Dark Dimension 5. I'll admit that I haven't looked at any videos that use her, if people do. It's just that I don't know if this is where I want to commit my resources to for her at this point. I do have her at Gear Tier 15. I just don't know if I'm willing to take her to 16 for Global, and I just maybe want to hope that there's some better characters coming our way. Now, Mystic is the most saturated part of Dark Dimension 5 and Origin Gear, and so I want to talk about this pretty quickly, but Icarus and Cersei, in my opinion, are no-brainers, and I have these listed as in the order that I would potentially do this. So I told you that I'm waiting on Cersei to do that, because I want Icarus and Cersei, absolutely, and the check mark is like the only character that I have at this point completed. Now, after that, for me personally, is Cloak, because obviously you do have that city lane coming up, but I think that Cloak is viable standalone if you use the right characters from the bio section for this area, for city. So I don't think that you personally need Dagger, and that's the reason why Dagger actually is yellow shaded, because she's very expensive. She requires 4 sets of minis, and I don't think that you need to have Dagger alongside Cloak to be successful. I think that you can have Cloak stand alone, and that's perfectly okay. And as you see, there's a lot of potential characters here in the Mystic lane, so I would really caution with overusage on both of those characters. So if you were to combine Cloak with, say, Ghost Spider and Symbiote Spider-Man, and that'll lead to some of the other characters that we have down below. And for me, I may even add Squirrel Girl on top of that. So after that, though, Dr. Doom is probably worth considering for the global lane at this point, which is after City anyway, so you should be able to. A lot of people are tier 16ing Doom sooner rather than later, but personally, I don't think you have to. I know that people, because of tech, Doom Raid tech, people want like as much power as you possibly can. It's like a 10-12% improvement, I think, when you click that upgrade button to gear tier 16. It's not like crazy, but I feel that people are just chomping at the bit for Doom Raid tech just to have any viable like increases in stats. After that, the possible Dr. Voodoo, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm necessarily planning to do that, because I talked about Dark Hunters already, and then Adam Warlock is like way down at the bottom of the list for me. Like, yeah, you might need him, maybe, for Legendary Lane, but again, he's kind of like at the very end of Dark Dimension 5, so I really wouldn't put a lot of consideration into him at this point. Now, this gives us to skill. So for me, it's Maria Hill first, just because she's a support healer. I think she's absolutely amazing. She's cheaper to gear. Also, she requires 0 teal ABCs, which is absolutely amazing. After that, it's Shang-Chi, obviously, because of the city lane. I think this is really important. He's 3 sets overall, but he does require 400 ABCs, so it's a little bit more than the others. After that, it's a little bit of a toss-up, personally. Kestrel, if you need her for Cosmic, but, you know, because that is before global in terms of the laneage. So for me, I also want to say, if this wasn't clear, I'm not upgrading necessarily because of the lanes. I'm upgrading for the characters that I think are going to have the highest impact to my roster for my daily performance. That being said, I do put a little bit of a nod to the lanes, which is why Shang-Chi is at number 2, but he is not number 1 because, well, I don't think he needs to be, personally. But for 3, 4, and 5, we have Kestrel, Cap Sam, and Sharon, obviously because of Global, because of Secret Avengers. These really are some of the best skill characters in the game still, and so they're worth upgrading. Cap Sam also requires only 0 ABCs, which is great. So, moving on to tech. Now, you see that tech, Dr. Doom is actually well above where he is in the Mystic section. That's because, as far as the Mystic gear is, I don't think he's a huge priority. He's not the first couple priorities, but as far as tech gear, I think he is. And you can see that Kestrel is also number 2 for me, despite Kestrel being number 3 in skill. So it's a bit weird, because they're like dual traded, so take it for what you will. I don't have a great explanation for this. It's more that he is a great tech. These characters are great tech priorities, but less priorities in the other sections, if that makes sense. Beyond this, you know, I'm really trying to find some good tech characters to use. T'Challa has been added to my list. He's not necessarily number 3. Like I said, I'm not personally building T'Challa, but if you guys are, or if you have already, then I think this is a really great option. If you have like 4 or 5 yellow T'Challa, I definitely would recommend this, because he is a bit of a glass cannon, meaning that you kind of need the stars to back him up, personally. Doc Ock, obviously part of that legendary lane, so you're not going to really make use of this until later, but I personally am a big fan of the Sinister Six. I'm still a fan of Doc Ock, and so I think that he is going to get some usage there. Lady Deathstrike and Kate Bishop, kind of in the same category here. Kind of tied for 5 and 6 here for me personally in terms of my priority for tech gear. Depends on what you're going in. Some people really want to take in Lady Deathstrike for global, and I think this is a very valid decision, and, you know, she's only 2 sets of minis as well, which makes her very good. Same with Kate Bishop, though. So here, there's a big caveat here, and I'm going to put a star here. So as of recording this, Kate Bishop hasn't had her passive fixed. Is it going to get fixed for Outside of War? I don't know. I hope that it does, and that'll make her significantly more useful, not only in Doom Raid, but also in Dark Dimension. So I really hope that she does get fixed. She is a global character as well, alongside Lady Deathstrike, so I don't know if this is something where you would take both of them necessarily, but they are both cheap to gear, and I want to kind of acknowledge that. Now, Outside of that, we have good old Ravager Stitcher. So this kind of goes alongside T'Challa a little bit. If you're willing to gear both of them, that's absolutely great. And Ravager Stitcher is a bit of a beast. If you haven't checked out McMole's videos and Ravager Stitcher smashing people in the face with his basic, it's honestly a bit of a laugh here. But he is very cheap to gear. He's only one set of minis. Overall, his teal gear pieces are quite low, but I wouldn't really recommend this if you don't have like 5 red or higher. So these are kind of my list of characters that I have right now. And you can see that really the hardest part here is Mystic. I would say it's the most saturated area. You can see that the characters that I have listed in all other sections are like 4 or 5, to be honest, and I hope that we get some more good mutant picks soon in patch 6.0. So let me know what you think about all of this in the comments down below. That's the end of this video. I hope that you guys are starting to work on your Dark Dimension 5 plans as well. I know that I've not had a lot of videos regarding Dark Dimension 5 because it hasn't been a huge thing on my radar until more recently, where it is starting to, I'm starting to think about this more because I will be having my first 5 pretty soon. If not already, I just am being reluctant to gear certain characters. So let me know if you think I missed anyone also in the comments down below. And of course, until next time, stay safe and healthy and sane, and I'll see y'all later. Boilon signing out.